Recently, I've been investigating ways that I can diversify my income. One of the avenues that I've been exploring has been selling something on a platform like Etsy. Since I'm going for a sort of gothic, dark fantasy vibe, I thought it'd be neat to have some cool looking crystals to use as props. Today, I'm gonna give you a behind the scenes look at how I model a crystal in Blender, 3D print it, use that 3D print to make a silicone mold, and then use that mold to make this super awesome glow in the dark resin crystal. So let's pretend we're an air conditioner and make something cool. I'll go. So here I am in Blender. I'm gonna hit A to select everything and delete it. I'm gonna add in a circle, and I'm gonna make sure that that circle only has 8 vertices. Now just hold on a second. I can already see you out there warming up your little finger toes, getting ready to jump into the comments and complain about how I'm going too fast. Well, you wouldn't be the first person to say that to me. Look, here's the deal. There's 1,000 tutorials out there teaching you how to use Blender. There's just as many teaching you how to 3D print or pour resin. But what there's not a lot of is videos showing you how to string those things together. And besides, if I exhaustively explained every nuance of what I'm doing, this video would be an hour long and nobody would watch it. So I hope that helps you understand the pacing a little bit more. Let's get back to the video. I'm gonna tab in and press F to face it. I'm just gonna extrude that up. I'm gonna press 3 to go into face select mode. I'm gonna scale this out and then press I for inset. It doesn't really matter how big it is, because I'm gonna press 1 to go into vertex select mode and hit M to merge at center. I'm gonna grab this and Z it up, and then I'm gonna go around the top and press GG to just slide these vertices down the edges, just to give it a little bit of irregularity. And that looks pretty good. I'm gonna select individual vertices. I'm gonna press B to bevel them and V to lock it to the vertex, and just make these kind of like little facet things. Now maybe I won't do every one, I'll just do, you know, something like that. That looks crystalline, no? And that's it. Next I want to create a small 3D printed box that I can actually use for the silicone casting. So I'm gonna add in a really simple cube and just scale it down pretty thin. This will be my base plate. I just want to make sure that it's bigger than the diameter of the crystal. I'm gonna Shift D to duplicate this and then hide that version. I'm gonna select my original, tab 1 on my number keypad to go into side orthographic view, and 1 on my number row to go into vertex mode. Alt Z to go into X-ray, so that I'm grabbing the vertices on the other side at the same time. What I wanna do is I wanna create a little bit of headroom right here, because we're actually gonna be molding this. The resin's gonna be poured this way. Next, I'm gonna press 3 on my number row to go into face select mode, and I'm gonna grab this bottom and this top. I'm going to again inset this just a tiny bit. These are gonna be the walls, so I don't want them to be very thick. I wanna right click, bridge faces, tab back out, and Alt H to unhide the bottom. We want to make this bottom just a little bit bigger, so I'm going to scale this up. I'm going to add a modifier with a difference boolean. I'm going to boolean out the walls. My main goal is just to create this small channel right here, because what we'll do is we'll use some hot glue around these edges and just use that to seal the chamber to prevent the silicone from leaking out around the bottom. Now there's only one thing left to do, and that's go to File, Export, and export as STL. Next, I'm gonna open up my slicer. I'm using Bambu Studio. You might be using something different, but the process should remain the same. I'm going to go to File, Import STL, and I'm gonna import the file that I just created. Now, it comes in extra small, and that's because the default scale that we were modeling in Blender was in meters. So when that gets converted to an STL, it's actually unitless, and Bambu Studio imports it in millimeters. The fix is really easy. We just need to go to Scale and set this to 1,000. Now my second problem is that this is one object, and I need to split this into the individual parts because there's no way that this could actually print. So I want to right click on this, split, and split to objects. Then I'm just gonna right click on the bed and click arrange. I'm not gonna mess with any of my print settings except for one. I want my print quality to be set to 0.08. And that's simply because I hate sanding, and the smaller your layer lines are, the less sanding you have to do. Next, I'm gonna slice my plate, and then I'm just gonna click send. Well, hey, not too bad. I know I went through that kind of fast, so if you feel like following along with the rest of the video, I'm gonna make a few tweaks and then I'll upload the finished files to MakerWorld. I scaled everything up and reprinted it last night. The finish is actually pretty good with the lower layer height, so I'm gonna skip the first round of sanding and go straight to priming. Somehow the camera lost almost all the footage of me priming, so please enjoy this dramatic reenactment. Let your primer dry and then lightly sand the primed surface. I'm not trying to sand down to the plastic. I just want to make the primer feel smooth to the touch. Now this next step is where the magic happens. I'm gonna spray this with a gloss clear coat over the smooth primer. And I'm gonna go for a wet coat, heavy enough that the clear coat pools slightly, but not enough that it runs down the sides. It doesn't have to be perfect, just try to get it as smooth as possible. I allowed the crystal to dry overnight, and now I'm ready to assemble my silicone mold box. Kinda looks like a giant pencil, doesn't it? So I've got my gender affirming hot glue gun here, and all I'm gonna do is first put a small drop right here in the center to secure the crystal to the plate. Just like that. As I mentioned in the modeling section, I created this small channel to fill with hot glue, and we'll use that to help secure the walls of the mold so that when we pour silicone in, it doesn't leak out around the bottom. Now that the crystal's secure, what I'm gonna do is just run a thick but complete bead of hot glue around the perimeter of my mold. And I want to make sure that there's no gaps. Should squish out a little bit around the edge. Again, all I'm really trying to do is just make sure that that bottom is nice and sealed. And that's it. I promised my roommates that if this video does well, we could go to the pet store and pick out a new toy. So unless you're a heartless monster, consider leaving a like or maybe even subscribing to the channel. Don't worry, I'm gonna get him a toy anyways. Now, if only they actually paid rent. We're about halfway through and it's finally time to start pouring some silicone. As always, glove up and make sure you have adequate ventilation. The silicone I'm using comes in 2 parts and is measured out in a 1-to-1 ratio by weight. Don't use the same scale that you use for food. I think this was like 15 bucks on Amazon. I like this silicone rubber from Let's Resin, and I'll leave a link in the description for this and any other products that I'm using. I'm gonna start by measuring out exactly 100 grams of part A. Then I'm gonna tear the scale. So I actually measured out 109 grams. So I'm gonna add in 109 grams of part B. You wanna mix this thoroughly, but not aggressively, because you wanna avoid folding air into the mixture, because this will cause bubbles in your cast later. Speaking of bubbles, I'll be using a vacuum chamber to degas mixtures. You can absolutely get away without using one, however, they are very nice to have. And just for fun, about halfway through, I'm gonna add in a couple drops of red dye. Trust me, it's better to overmix than undermix. After I'm done mixing, I'm going to then transfer my silicone into a fresh, clean container. Don't scrape the sides, and don't reuse your mixing stick. Using a fresh mixing stick, I'm now gonna mix this for about a minute. Again, you wanna be careful to avoid folding air into the mixture. Then I'm gonna pop this into my vacuum chamber and degas this for about 5 to 10 minutes. And finally, we'll just pour our degassed mixture very carefully into our mold. And that's how you make the world's most extreme Jello shot. I'm Josh, and this has been another episode of Jello Shot Nation. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, like the video, email the poke, call your mom. Now, technically, you can demold this after about 3 to 6 hours, but I usually wait a full 24 hours just to be on the safe side. So if I design this correctly, what we should be able to do is just break the hot glue here and pull the crystal out of the mold. Let's crack this thing open. Okay, so my crystal did not come out as planned. Okay, that was a lot harder than I anticipated, but you know what? This kind of stuff happens and it's just a learning process. You have to make the mistakes. I think our mold's pretty good. I think we're ready to move on to the next step. Let's pour some resin. Now the process for mixing resin is nearly identical to silicone, with one key difference. Silicone is measured by weight, resin is measured by volume. Like silicone, epoxy resin comes in 2 parts, the resin and a hardener. I'm going to begin by measuring out 1.5 ounces of epoxy resin, and you want to get this as exact as possible. And then I'm going to add in 1.5 ounces of my hardener, bringing the total volume in my cup up to 3 ounces. It's really easy to overshoot, so take your time and go slow. Then I'm going to stir for 4 minutes, scraping the bottom, the sides, and the stick. And you could leave this clear if you wanted to, but I'm going to be introducing some purple glow-in-the-dark pigment. And I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. It takes more than you'd think to get a good glow, but the more you add, the more opaque your crystal's gonna become. If Fresh cup, fresh stick, and mix for about a minute. Then I'll degas in my vacuum chamber. Finally, I'll just take my mold and carefully pour my resin in. All right, I'll see you in 24 hours. Removing the PLA shell made it a lot easier to manipulate the crystal and get it out of the mold. And the crystal has this really cool effect. The base pigment is bright purple, but the emitted light is actually more of a dark violet. And in the light, you see the pigment, and the shadow, you see the glow. So it actually looks like it's changing color. And of course, the beauty of having a mold is that once it's done, you get to make as many as you want. Well guys, that about wraps it up for me. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and we will see you on the next project.